Eventually, I arrived in a bar in Kosovo, locked inside and forced into prostitution. In the bar, I was never paid. I could not go out there myself. The owner became more and more violent as the weeks went by. He was beating me and raping me and all the other girls. We were his property, he said. By buying us, he had bought the right to beat us, rape us, starve us, and force us to have sex with clients.
Vulnerable people, usually poor, are deceived or forced into working abroad with promises of a better life. When they get there, their passports are taken off them. They are forced to work behind locked doors and beaten or starved if they refuse. Sometimes they are killed and the threat of murder is always there. Their masters or owners make money by forcing them to work in sweatshops, dangerous jobs, or as prostitutes. This is human trafficking.
Human trafficking is slave trading. Through force or by deception, people are taken from their communities and are exploited. Without passports in a foreign country, they realize they have nowhere to turn. The owners use violence, starvation, and murder to maintain their power over them. Victims are trafficked into arranged and hazardous working conditions.
Human trafficking is a crime against humanity. It involves an act of recruiting, transporting, harboring, or receiving of a person through the use of force with the purpose of exploiting them. Every country in the world is affected by human trafficking, whether as a country of origin, transit, or the destination for victims.
It is sad but true. Here in this world, people are being bought, sold, and smuggled like modern-day slaves. They are trapped in lives of misery, often beaten, starved, and forced to work as prostitutes or to take grueling jobs as migrant domestic, restaurant, or factory workers with little or no pay. There are three elements of human trafficking. First is the act, or what is done. Recruitment, transportation, transfer, and receipt of the person is what is happening in the act stage. Second is the means, or how it is done. By using threat or use of force, fraud, deception, abuse of power, or giving benefits or payments to the person in control of the victim. Third is the purpose, or why is it done. It includes exploiting the prostitution of others, forced labor, slavery, and even removal of organs.
Human trafficking is the dark end of globalization. It is one of the summation of the fast social and economic changes around the globe. One of its factors is poverty.
Poverty is a social issue that could lead to human trafficking due to structural constraints of two classes, in which there is a large margin between the rich and the poor, in which the poor had to find extreme means to feed their family. Human traffickers attack this weakness.
Human trafficking has a distinct impact on the victims and in the society. Victims did not only experience physical abuse but also mentally and emotionally. They were promised to have decent jobs, but actually they were maltreated and turned into sex slaves. Even kids from poor families were sent into strenuous labor in order to augment their family income to meet their needs. Survivors of human trafficking are traumatized by their experience. Some get depressed or had suicide thoughts.
Their mental state includes helplessness, withdrawal, disassociation, and self-blame. In worst cases, victims or survivors go psychotic. Some also face moral and legal isolation.
Their health condition is also at risk. They are vulnerable to HIV or AIDS. high drug addiction, and high-risk abortion. Prolonged abuse in children, including physical and sexual abuse, hunger and malnutrition may lead to the permanent stunting of growth. Human trafficking also violates a whole range of laws and human rights. Traffickers operate across borders with exemption with the involvement of organized criminals, which causes threat to society. An enormous loss to communities and governments in terms of human and social capital investments is also one of the impacts of human trafficking. There will also be a loss of future productivity and earning power through low education and ill health. Epidemic like HIV and AIDS will also be rampant.
The UNODC is taking actions to end human trafficking.
Its toolkit to combat trafficking in persons contains 19 tools dedicated to the challenge of preventing trafficking in persons.
Issues addressed therein include the root causes of trafficking, the concept of demand, and the role of media in peacekeepers in preventing trafficking. These raise awareness among policymakers, law enforcement bodies, and civil society. Prevention is better than cure. What can our government do? Sign and ratify conventions and protocols against human trafficking. Implement legal measures to rescue and protect victims, especially women and children. And most of all, oppose all proposals of law and legislation for the legitimization of trafficking in human beings. Everyone is aware that we are part of the problem and we are part of the solution. We can exercise our social responsibility to give social justice for all. We should know that all actions have different consequences. This doesn't include them. This includes us all. Knowledge and awareness is the first step in protecting ourselves and others.
Human trafficking is composed of three elements: the act, the means, and the purpose. It does not discriminate its victims. Everyone, may that person be a boy, girl, an adult, or even a child, can be affected by this virus affecting our society. It mostly targets those of the lower social status. We may think that slavery ended when our country achieved its independence from its colonizers many years ago. But the said issue is still rampant in today's society. However, it is less noticeable as compared to the past. The victims are resocialized like when they are imposed norms and values different from what they already possess. They are also contained in total institutions from which they are imprisoned or simply cut off from the rest of society. Another point to consider is that why our fellow men accept opportunities from different countries or jobs which they are not sure of. This is because of structural strain. It explains that the means set by society and the means provided by society does not necessarily intersect. With all the drastic effects of this issue in our society, the government and other people took actions to fight against it. One is the UNODC, whose priority is the prevention of trafficking of people. However, we simple individuals can help by raising the awareness of people about the presence of this social issue. This information can be channeled to different agents of socialization, like the family, the mass media, school, and others. We should make a move now before someone we know is already moving.
It's better to live poor than to live without freedom. Stop human trafficking!